And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome on into the Dragon's Den. My name is Digital Dragon, aka Luke, and I am a 3D printer, variety streamer, and a prototyper here on Twitch. So, what does that mean? Well, that means that we do everything from assembling printers, like Ender 3s, to modifying those printers and doing full up builds like the Voron 2.4, the Zero G Mercury, and the Trident over here that's printing right now. In the case of the Zero G, that is a prototype. I was part of the closed beta test for a ground up frame build for that printer. And I also have a trad rack sitting over here that's still destined to go on a printer. How's it going, Numeric 1871? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome on in. So I also have started, step, there we go, doing some cosplay helmets as well as other 3D prints. I will be doing some stuff on this stream a little bit after this build, where we will be working on assembling the parts for a full body armor set for the Galactic Armory's rendition of the Imperial Mandalorian Commando. So we will be doing some of that on stream as well. I'm not going to sit here and bore you guys by sanding on stream, but I will kind of go through some of the steps and some of the processes that we do to get things from beginning to end as I learn. Welcome on in, Timor. Hey, Zombie, how's it going? How's it going? Welcome on in. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are doing well. So it's going to be an interesting day here. We're going to start our install for our heated bed. I'm waiting for a couple of parts to finish on the Trident here, which will be a couple of different Wago mounts that I'm going to try and use to be able to run the connections for the bed. And then we'll be able to install the bed and actually start doing some wiring, hopefully some basic wiring today. And thank you for the follow, Awful Waffle. Kind of sad to hear that the waffle was awful, but welcome on in. Welcome on in. Oh, I'm sorry, Timor. Yeah, crimping is always fun, and you've seen me like start to get a little bit frustrated on stream doing crimps, and part of that's the issue going on with my eyes, where I'm going to wind up having surgery. In fact, tomorrow I have to. I still haven't heard from the surgical center to call to try and set up a consult. So I'm gonna have to go back to my original eye doctor and say, hey, I haven't heard anything. Let's do some yelling. But yeah, I'm trying to see how long that's going to take before I can even get in. Chances are nothing's going to get done before Earth, except maybe the initial consult. So anyhow, I did get some stuff in the mail yesterday. Thank you to KB3D for getting that stuff sent. So I got change screens here real fast. I did get the bed and the magnet. I really didn't need a build surface. I've got plenty of them for the 120 millimeter size, but I figured why not get that at the same time. So I do have a magnet and a build surface, so we can get going on our build plate. Couple of the other things that came in were, what did come in? I got some screws that have already been redistributed. I'm like brain farting on what actually did come in with the rest of that order. I did get the other set of panels that will go on our other Voron switch wire. Once again, we've been working on adding the enclosure to this Ender switch wire conversion down here. The panels were cut by KB3D. This is the full dark out mode panels, and the new version that I have will have dark panels for the rear sides, the back and the top, and then clear panels for the front sides and the doors, which will make it pretty, a little bit easier to see it. Some of the other stuff that we've gotten in lately was a 8 gig Raspberry Pi Model 4, because when I saw it and it wasn't like $200, I jumped on it. And I also picked up one of these, and one of these is a WaveShare kit, and it's a mechanism style robotic, basically base frame, right? They have been, but I did not spend that much. I would not spend that much for them. They're finally starting to get back in the, they're finally starting to get back into realistic prices again. So I went ahead and did pull the trigger on one. But this was a kit I got off of Amazon. Was it Amazon? No, maybe AliExpress. I think it was AliExpress. But it's got the mechanism style wheels, and it's basically just the lower frame that allows you to start, prototyping and working on different sensors and things like that. So this may be something that we play around with on stream as well, and just try and get it moving around. Yeah. Yeah, they were pretty expensive there for a while, to the point where it was almost better to just go and buy like a mini ITX, like quad core Celeron or quad core ARM on a mini ITX board, and just go that way. But yeah. Yeah, it was really bad with the chip shortage. Hey, Pez Liz, welcome on in. Welcome on in. Salute. Salute. And was that Creatix Britt I just saw? Hey, Britt. Guess what I got? That's right. Freshly brewed cup of coffee. I got my timing right today. My timing wasn't right Tuesday, so I had just finished like my second cup before the stream. And I was like jonesing most of the way through the stream, and I knew better than to try and drink some afterwards, because then I'd be up all night. I'm going to set that over there for now. And I don't know why my brain is like kicking in. Oh, I know why. So one of the other things we got in was a spare motor. It's a LDO Motors NEMA 17, so it's the round stepper motor. This is the 36 STH 17 104 AHG, so it's a high temp motor. Don't really need it on. Don't need a high temp version on the on a Rook, because it's not going to be enclosed. But I try and get them, because you never know when you're going to tear a printer down and reuse all the parts on something. So it's always good to make sure you buy the high temp motors if you do a lot of high temp printing. Numeric now has the burden of my Focus printers and parts. Gotcha. Gotcha. So the reason I ordered this is when I decided to move the Fabrico Rook from a Bowden style extruder. So on this particular build, the Sherpa was mounted back here, and I had already cut and recrimped the motor to a specific length, and it won't, of course, reach up here when I moved it into a direct drive configuration. So what I need to do is either create an extension cable, which I didn't really want to do, or just swap the motor out. So I'm going to swap the motor out, and I can reuse this one on a different machine. I mean, I've got the parts for like 15 Sherpas laying around because I love the Sherpa. So I will just take that motor off, reuse it somewhere else, put this motor on, because it's going to have to be able to run a longer distance, not just, 6 inches. So we'll do that maybe later on the stream after we work on this one for a little bit. And yes, you see I have a nice little Rook family down here. I've got the Fabrico Rook kit. I've got my original Mark I that's known as Gold Dragon. This one you saw at Murph. It will be at IRF. I think I will have all 3 of mine at IRF. Yeah. So this one, we will plug this one in later on because, well, you know me, I'm just going to steal the config and then modify it for a Bowden with an orbiter versus, or I'm sorry, not a Bowden, but a direct drive with an orbiter versus a Bowden with a BMG. So, especially since the my Rook Mark I is also running the same MCU that we're running in this one, which is a SKR Pico board with, instead of an actual Raspberry Pi, we're running a Radza Zero on here. There you go, Britt. Go make some more. Go make some good coffee. Gotcha. Let's see. You also gave a Wexter Iskra Dragons and some fun stuff as compensation. Gotcha. So you had to bribe them with some prints to get them to take the focus. Hey, Thunder Keys, thank you for the subscription. I will always take Bezo bucks. Thank you very much. And for those of you that don't realize it or are not aware of it, it is September, so I believe 1 month and 3 month subs are 25% off, and 6 month or longer, I believe, are 30% off now for the month of September. So if you like what you see here and you want to sub, now's a good time to do it. And it's a little bit cheaper for you in the long run as well. All for you, nothing for the children. Exactly. Yeah, the Luminous looks pretty neat. I've been printing my Sherpas, Timor. I was like, do I buy an aluminum one? I don't know. I mean, I see them. I know they're out there, but I'm not 100% sure that it's really worth it. Oh yeah, dude, my printers do breed faster than rabbits. Miss Dragon's probably on here, but there's a printer that people were asking me about that I do have shipment confirmation on. And I don't know, there's quite a few things showing up between tomorrow and Saturday. Speaking of things that are showing up, I did order from KB3D a tool head board, not a CAN bus, because there's no need to do a CAN bus on a Rook, right? No need. But I am going to do a standard V0 umbilical build. So I'm going to have the board that goes onto the back of the extruder, as well as the board that will mount, and I'll have to craft a mount to the back side of the frame here, so that a single 14-pin connector will come from the board to the tool head board. So that'll be the single connection. So all of these wires are going to get connected to the board right behind the extruder. And then we'll have a single 14-pin cable that comes back to this back plane. And then from the back plane down to the SKR Pico, we'll have individual connections. So Timor, the Additiva 3D Core XY, which is the Ender 3 Core XY conversion, you probably won't see it until after Earth because I'm still waiting on getting that shipped from Edge of 3D. I am not trying to push him because I know he got delayed getting back home from China. Him and Sam Prentice both did. So I'm trying to give him a little bit of breathing room before he ships that out. But once he gets it shipped to me, then I will start working on it. In fact, I might talk to him and see if it's something that he can just bring to Earth as long as he's still going, and I'll pick it up from him at Earth. Might be easier that way. So what I'm going to do is we need to get our magnet mounted on our bed. This is the LDO Motors polyimide heated bed for a Voron B0. So what we're going to do is just take this plastic off the top, this protective layer. We'll give it a clean down, and then we will go ahead and mount our magnet. Yeah, that might be a little bit easier. I need to keep something underneath it so I don't damage the wires. But in a second, once I get the magnet on here and I don't need that bubble wrap anymore, you're going to see me take that box and toss it. So, because I won't need it up here anymore. So let's get some paper towels and some isopropyl. And depending on how things were in the factory the day that they milled this, it's either going to be pretty well clean or it's going to have a bunch of crud on it that we're going to wipe off. So we'll see. I will tell you that these LDO beds are very nice. I've gotten a bed from Mandala Roseworks. That one was very nice as well. And the edges were all chamfered, so you didn't have any sharp edges and all that. So, not too bad, a little bit. You'll be bringing your West 3D Rook, among others, to Earth. Only gripe I have about it is the V6 hot end. Well, get a Revo 6 and replace it. I say that like it's easy, but so my Rook Mark 1, which was self-sourced, is running a Revo CR hot end. The Fabrico Rook is running the Rook, it's a CHC hot end. So it's Rolahan Rook branded hot end. It was made by Fadis. This one, what did we put in this one again? Yeah, that's right. This is using a Micro Swiss all metal heat break. So the heat sink, and then we basically took the heat break with the CHC heater off the first hot end that I got for the Fabrico Rook, because the heat sink portion was poorly milled, so they sent me a whole new one instead of just the heat sink piece. So I just reused that heater because they didn't ask me to send it back, and there's nothing wrong with the heater. And then most of my Vorons, actually I think all of my Vorons now are running a Revo. My 20Gs are running Revos along with orbiter extruders. My boron inner wires, I believe, are both running Revos as well. I'm running Revo on just about everything. So I love the Revo ecosystem and the ability to switch nozzles on the fly on whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of Rooks again because once again, they're small, they're portable, and they're easy to ship. Exactly, Thunder Keys. So that's the same thing with my Fabrico is we got it built and we started running it all stock, and I just had too many problems with the Sherpa actually pushing the PTFE tube out of the top of the Sherpa, which as soon as you do that, you lose the tension on the filament and you're just pushing filament out into the air. So that's why I decided, okay, I'm going to have to mod it and make it a direct drive. And as long as it works good, then the little mount that I added to mount the Sherpa to it, which is currently printed in black, I may reprint that in either blue or the lime just so it matches the color scheme better. Okay, so this is now clean. We need to get our magnet installed. And what I like to do with my magnets is just kind of lay it on there and see how it's going to sit. If it's going to go edge to edge or a little over an edge. And this is going to be just a little bit undersized, which could get interesting with cutting out the mounting holes. So okay, I think I'll be good there. So we're just going to start pulling our backing paper off. You have a Revo on the way, Pezlos? Nice. Yeah, I've actually got I think I've got 2 Revo CRs sitting in the closet over there, just waiting for a build to put them on. And even with the Ender 3 belt printer conversion that we did, I was thinking, okay, I've got a Revo CR I can put on that. And then I got to thinking about it, and I did the linear rail upgrade to it, which also comes with a ByQ H2VS extruder with additional nozzles so that it will work with the belt printer. And instead, what I did was purchase the Revo version of that hot end extruder combo and use some belt printer nozzles that Georgia with E3D gave me at Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Fest. So we're actually rocking a ByQ H2V2S on the belt printer downstairs. And I think we're going to do this one as a giveaway, provided so we'll see. If the Core XY kit that I'm getting from Edge of 3D includes this extruder and the SKR Mini E3V3, then I'm going to give this away on the channel. If it doesn't, then we're going to probably install this on that printer, because that's 2 of the optional upgrades that you can buy with it is the ByQ H2VS, ByQ H2V2S, and the SKR mini board, which I have a couple of those sitting around here too, because if you know me, why not, right? So I'm waiting for the parts to cool down now, and the parts that I'm printed was some Wago mounts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the Wago mounts right here on the, darn it, on the inside edge of the bed mount here, because our wires will enable me to basically do this up underneath. I'll have plenty of room. And then our thermistor, which will also have to get installed here. As long as I've got the length, I will take off the JST connector and do that through a Wago as well, rather than just doing, trying to either extend this or do a JST to JST. And I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, so see, that should give me plenty of room to bring that back into the Wago as well. Yeah. So that's what we'll do is we'll get these all into Wago mounts. And that way it'll make it easier. I'm all about trying to do things for ease of maintenance. That's why I'm going to be looking at doing a tool head board on the printer, is because it just makes things a little bit easier if you have to do any maintenance. So that'll go there. Ad break and coffee time. Um, Waiting for the ad break to finish so that get this out of the way. Okay, ad break's done. We're all back. Yeah, so I was speaking with Kenrog on Tuesday night stream, Thunder Keys. He was here. And that's what I mentioned was it'd be great if they modeled in some like Wago mounts into this back frame. And he said he thought there was one of those done already. However, it's not for the 2020 build, it's for the Mark 1. And it does have, so the Mark 1 has like an angled bed mount back here, but on one side there is a spot for two Wagos. So what I'm doing is I'm going to use VHB tape and just VHB tape between the Wago mounts and the bed mount frame back here, and hopefully that'll be good enough, and it'll stick nicely. And then yeah, I'll add some wire ties around it to hold the wires for some strain relief. Yeah, I'm going to use some good old VHB. And this stuff has proven to be a lot stickier than the first stuff that I got. So that's great. But yeah, I would agree that if they had a like Wagos and then some tie straps, because technically what you'd want to do, since the bed can come up like pretty close to full movement here, you don't really want wires coming over the top because you might pinch wires, or you know. So what I would do is have Wago mounts facing down, right? And then at the bottom edge, apply, have the a zip tie hole in the bottom edge so that you can zip tie them right here at the bottom for strain relief. So your wires are going to come around and up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out a couple of twist in cable ties for the 2020 extrusion. And I'm going to put 2 here on the side, and my bed wire is going to be attached at basically like the halfway point and at the bottom. And that way, that'll be kind of the service loop in the back, so it'll fold up on itself on the back, right? So that's my plan on how I'm going to kind of deal with that. And give me 1 second. Do that. Close this back up. And get a new print started with those other pieces. So what I did was I printed out a 2-banger, which will work for the heated bed inputs, but wouldn't include the thermistor. And I did a 3-banger, which I can mount, and that will let me do all 3. I just need to figure out how I can mount it so that it makes the most sense and I can get to all of the connections. That kind of works, but I would have to remove this if I ever needed to take the bed apart, but I would be fine with doing that. Doing it on this side, the nut kind of gets in the way. So I do it on this side and just captive that other nut or that screw, which is perfectly fine for what I'm going to be doing. And it might allow me to add VHB on the back and the side. So that would cover both avenues. So I need some Wagos. And I tend to buy Wagos by the box because, well, why not? So I just buy them. I've got singles, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I just went out and bought a box of each. That way, as I do printer builds, I should always have what I need when I need it. Some printer, if some kits will come with it, and then other kits, as you mod them, you'll want to add in, once again, some serviceability, quality of life type things, which is, to me, what Wagos excel at for me. Okay, good enough. So how's everybody doing tonight? What's everybody working on? Working on anything? Planning any good times for the weekend? And by the way, this mount is made that you could potentially like screw through it if you needed to or wanted to. Not that I'm going to. And I just go on to printables and find one that works for whichever orientation I'm going to need to deal with. And then that's what I print out. So, okay, this is looking good. And like I said, this will give me just thinking that's not going to work because it'll work for the inputs, but it won't work for the, I would need one more to do the thermistor, huh? Yeah, what I need is a JST pod for that one. Dang. Ooh, but I do have an idea. Do have an idea. Yeah, you're doing all your HueForge stuff? Nice. So, with that thought, let me see if I can get these back out without breaking them, which can always be fun. Or sending them flying around the workshop. Yeah, I've got HueForge. I just need to get started on, doing some of the, prints and stuff. And I know he just released the files for Mac, so I will have to download that version and give it a try. Which CAN bus boards are you going to use, Thunder Keys? So since I'll have to do something separate for the JST connection, I am going to just go back and use the two banger here, and we'll do something different for the JST connection for the thermistor, which I've got a potential idea or solution for that. I mean, I've got JST parallel boards, but I'm not going to waste a 4-port board. But I do have this cute little thing that came with the LDO kit. So I might be able to put a JST on the ends, the two ends, and solder them in, and they solder pass together between them, and mount this board somewhere, and it'll just be basically a two JST connection board. So we can do that. That way it keeps it as a modular piece instead of a home run piece. EBB 36 UTC, cool. I did the EBB 36 UTC setups on my 0G Mercury 1s. You should be able to catch those on the stream. And also for the Fey Dragon, which is the purple and pink 2.4, and the Trident, I did CAN bus with the SB 2209s and UTCs. Exactly, Thunder Keys. Exactly, because what you're able to do is yeah, it's just all Wago connectors. And what I did on uh, my other 2.4, which is sitting over here in the corner, I just need to put the bottom deck panel on it and put it up on the line. Is when I snipped the fan wire that's closest to where the Wagos and the outlet jack goes, I used that pigtail that was left over that already had the JST connection to actually do the I guess the input, because it already comes with an extension cable that goes down there. So that just made life so much easier. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and mount this on one side. We'll do it on this side closest to the right, because that's the side where we're going to have our cables that can come through the back panel that I'm going to put on place. So we'll mount this over here on the right. And then with the JST piece, I'll have to work that, and I'll have to figure that out still, but we'll make that work. Let me get these wires in there, and I'm going to set this on its back, hopefully. Because once again, my plan is going to be to take VHB tape and VHB this right to the back here, and then we'll start working on mounting our actual bed. And then we'll have to figure out wires for the extension, and I'll just reuse some wires that I have behind me that have been cut off when I've cut other wire pieces down. Yeah, and I really like, exactly, like, you don't have to mutilate your 5015s. So if you need to use them for something else down the road, you can. Like if you get rid of your printer or something and you want to recover those fans, you can and use them elsewhere. Their VHB is pressure sensitive. That's why I'm trying to put some pressure on it now to get good adhesion to the first part. Okay. So I'm going to go facing the bottom. Hey, Royal Nomi, how are you today? Okay, that should be pretty well done. The other thing I want to do is we're going to grab our drill bits here while that's, I'll say, quote unquote, setting up. Just giving everything a little bit um, hang in there. And I believe our, yes, our holes are going to be 3 millimeter. Yes. So what we're going to do is, now that we've got our, doing good, doing good. So now we've got our magnet installed and we've given it a little bit of time to set up, for that adhesive to set up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come from the back side and drill through the magnet. Okay. And yes, you're going to see me put my finger there, but that's to ensure that I don't pull the magnet off. But I'm just going to do it in little bursts. There it is. I'm just trying to be measured about it. Okay, because I want a nice hole rather than something that's all ragged. So I'm going to do that on all 3 holes. Making sure to keep an eye on my wires so I don't damage my wires. Okay, so now that I've got my nice 3 holes, now I'm going to need to get the holes enlarged for the head of my screws to go on, or the head of my bolts to go on there. And I believe that's normally a 5 millimeter hole. Might be a 6, but we'll start with the 5. We'll grab both and get them out here just in case. Start with a 5. And this is a reamer, not a drill bit, but a straight edged reamer. Okay? And we're going to come from the front side. Now that we've got a hole started and we know where it's at, we can line up on the front, just give it a little bit of a push, and once again, we're going to pulse. We're just going to feel it go through and fit down in that, in the gap there. And I think 6 might actually work better. Yeah. But what this does is it gives you a nice clean hole through your magnet. And trust me, not all of my holes will look like this. I've done my fair share of tearing up magnets. So that's what your magnet will look like, and gets you a nice clean edge. so that your build plate will still lay down nicely, but you can get the head of your bolts in and out real easily. So I'm using the 5mm to initially get the hole done, and then a 6mm to get it out to its final size. And the nice thing with a reamer and doing it by hand at the end is because the edge is flat and the cutting, let me see if I can get that to focus. The cutting edge, see how that's kind of chamfered and comes back from the edge? So you're not going to damage you're not going to damage or increase the depth of the hole. And that way you can just get a nice looking finish. So and one more. Oh, I'm doing pretty good, Royal Nomi. Hey, Everything Plus Ultra. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are working on getting our bed installed. We just got our magnet in today. So we're in the process of, we got the magnet on, then we worked on the printer side of things, getting our Wago mount installed. Just giving our magnet adhesive a little bit of time to set a little more. Then we're going to clean up all these shavings. Um, let's see. So this is set for M3 screws. And what I'm going to use is a hand knurled nut, 3D printed knurled nut, I should say, that I've used on my other Rooks in the V0, which is just a small 3D printed part. You put an M3 hex bolt in the one side, and then we'll use that to actually attach the bed with bed springs. So we'll need some M3 nuts. And hopefully these are fairly tight. Yeah, push down on something hard to get them started, and then potentially pull them the rest of the way through with another, with a screw. So we'll use an 8mm screw because I don't need to be turning on this forever. We're just going to try and embed it fully in the printed part and make sure that it's lined straight so that we don't cross thread any screws later on. That's one. That's what we're trying to look like right there. Shenanigans, how you doing? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. So yeah, this is the Rook slow build. I feel like it's so slow on this build. Like, normally this would be like a 2-stream build, but I've just been taking my time on it, trying to relax and keep from. Really, I'm using it as a little bit of stress. Whoops. A little bit of stress relief as my anxiety starts to kick up about needing to get everything ready for Earth. So, taking the time, building this as a kind of like a scratch build, 2020, including some mods here or there, with the Sentinel and an orbiter. Definitely an orbiter with a filament runout sensor is pretty overkill for this printer, not going to lie. Springs. Not going to lie, it's pretty overkill. So let me kind of judge here how much I'm going to need as far as screw length goes. 25 is going to do this or what? That. No, we're going to need more than 30 as well. So we'll probably need to go over there and grab something longer than a 30. This is one of those things I should probably write down is how long of a screw I need there. $35 or 40 would probably work great. Well, 35 would work great. So I do have some 40s. Do I have 35? That answer will be no. So I did. We don't have 35s and socket head cap screws is I think the issue I'll deal with here. And like I said, I just don't think 30s are going to do it. So I'm going to need to go to the 40s, which should be fine having that much length. Yeah, I think 35s would actually be ideal for this. Ooh, let me see. Might have 35s in here. '40s, '50s. Ooh, and 3x35 socket head cap screws. There we go. 35 should be all I need. Always keep your screws from your builds. You never know when they're going to come in handy. So let me see how I can set this up so that we can see what we're doing. Or at least get you guys closer. So what we've got on our bed are slots. So we've got the ability to move this forward and back as needed. So what I'm going to try and do is get a couple of these in here. And also one of the other things that you can do, and I've seen people do this. In fact, I can't remember if they tell you to do it on the V0 or not. But you can put a nut here and work it all the way down, and that will lock the screw in, so you wouldn't have to even worry about getting to your magnet again. But once again, it'd be something else to you to have to count for as far as your height and length of your bolt with your thingamabobbers as well. So that is something we can do. And it doesn't have to be like a lock nut. It can just be a regular nut that you would just get on there, spin it down. Doesn't have to be super tight. All you're trying to do is keep the head from wobbling around. So you do just like that. Then you put on your spring. And then that way it's already set up and you just push down and do your knurled nuts at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and do that. Shouldn't be that big of an issue. Yeah, and that's the thing is it depends on how long your springs are and everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and set this in here after I get the second one on, just to kind of get a feel for how much I have to work to compress the springs to even be able to get my, darn it, get my knurled nuts going. So set that on there. Okay, so I'm feeling just a little bit of the screw coming out, and I haven't even really started to compress these down. So yeah, these should be long enough. And that's where I said it you really have to check for your springs as well as the printed piece and how thick the printed piece is and all that 9 yards. I've seen some printers that require like an M3 by 50 to do the bed mount, and that's just crazy. Okay, so let's see how many tries it takes me to do this, losing my springs. I'm going to try and just set the springs in there on those two. Okay. Now raise it up, just kind of put some pressure on the front here to get the front lined up and started. And I'm not trying to worry about cranking any one of these down yet. I just want to get them all actually started first. I'm going to have to lay this down to make it easier. At least two. Third one. Okay, and you do want to crank these down pretty tight, and that'll give you the most throw later on of trying to apparently that's twisting on me a little bit. Yeah, I'm just going to tighten these down, and that will give us the most amount of adjustment later on and the least amount of bed wiggle and shimmy along the way. We'll have to do bed screws adjust and manual bed screw adjustments and stuff. So now I'm just going to move this up, and we're going to need to go ahead and set our Wagos in. So I just need to figure out which one I want to go where. So our line in is going to be, so I want so normally I would say your load is going to be your red wire, and then your other wire will be your neutral or your return. But in this case, what I would like to see is the load, which is normally considered the red wire. So it comes in, it goes into the polyamide. Then it comes out of the polyamide on the return and goes into the fuse. So what you don't want is, I prefer for the fuse to break and cancel anything coming in. So I always want the fuse on the inbound leg or the load side of a bed. Okay, so we'll just have to remember that when we bring our other wires in here to connect them up. And okay, that'll work. And speaking of wires, we'll be able to run our wires for our bed and put our back panel on. We'll still need to get our thermistor connected, and I'll have to make a decision on that of how I'm going to connect that, whether I'm going to do that little board or just do a JST connection and kind of tie these together and then use that JST connector right there. And then the three wires that we come in will zip tie to the around the bed mount itself. So let's see what we've got as far as wires go. Because you folks know me, I love to reuse my wires. So speaking of which, this would be the wires that we would use for our hot end. So we may or may not need those. That would be the inbound. Let's see, what do we got here? We've got a couple of different style of heater wires. Oops, there we go. So this would be a thermistor size wire here. This one may be workable for our thermistor. We'll have to do some checking once we get things run a little bit. So that may be doable for their thermistor. And then, oh, is that going to be long enough? Might be. No, this should be long enough. So this used, well, it was a nozzle heater. This came off the Ender 5, I believe. This is the extension for the nozzle heater. And I like it because it's already got ferrules on the one end. The other end, I would just clip this off and use this in the Wagos to provide bed. And that's workable. That's doable. I believe that's going to be what we need for right now. So we'll put this stuff over on the side. And we will go ahead and install our back plate because we should be able to do everything else on the front. And I'm just going to really need to know my wire lengths. So we'll pull that through. This is the wire for our end stop, which obviously doesn't need to be that long. This will sit right here. We'll need 3, 3, 3. So 3 M5 nuts on each leg. Hey, Monlight, how's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just working right along, and we've got our bed mounted now. And we're going to work on installing the back panel and running some of our wires so that we can hopefully at least start wiring up the bed. The tool head, we could potentially wire that. We'd have to do some jury rigging for now, because I did order a V0 tool head board and backplane that will mount up here at the top. And that will let us, for everything in the tool head, it'll be a 14-pin connector. So everything at the tool head will mount right behind the board. And then we'll have a 14-pin connector that'll come from this board to the back plane. And then from the back plane down to the SKR Pico will all be, direct connects. So it'll make life a little bit easier from a maintenance perspective down the road. Now I'm going to do is just try and get these pretty lined up, and then we can work from we should be able to get them close enough and then work them around with our tweezers. Hey, Stacked Code, thank you for the follow. Yeah, just itching to get your printer back up. Yeah, I've got your parts printed. I just need to get them in the mailbox. And we are using M5 by 8s on these because if we try and do M5 by 10s, they're going to be too long. But we'd like to roll. There we go. I'm just going to get a couple of these in to get it lined up, kind of do the corners and then come back in and fill in. That didn't seem to line up right. Yep, I did see that you're halfway mounted. Looks like you're going to need to get your hot end mount set up, and then where'd my other M5 by 8s go? Yeah, I did see that you were partially there. Always nice to see. You got pancake stepper hot end, which might be soon for other screws. Well, yeah, you're Okay. Lined up. This should give us a kind of a nice back panel. Everything's going to look fairly nice and clean. We've got plenty of cable management available to us. And we can either run our wires, I'll say naked, just run them through the trough, or we can go ahead and put them in a sleeve, which I do have the split cloth sleeving like you would get on a Prusa. So I've got some of that sitting here already. So we'll be able to do some nice sleeving as well. Keep the whole nice clean look going. I think that's one of the things that I started taking pride on in my builds is, yeah, every once in a while it's just get the dirty wiring done so you can move on. But then you need to remember to go back and clean it up. And sometimes cleaning it up afterwards is that much more of a pain in the butt. So we'll come out here. We'll be able to come right through here. And this is the the Z end stop, which I believe my end stops are on the side here. You will hear me harp on this. Print out a diagram so that you can either need to print it out or have it up on the screen so that you can refer to it early and often. So our Z-end stops are 3 pins. It's a ground and an I/O pin. And we don't use voltage on this, right? So we should just go into the 2 left ones. I'll try and confirm that real fast. Another reason why it's nice to have another printer that you've done this on is there's my diagram confirmation right there. So I should always be able to tell, what it is I need to do on this build just by referring to my other printer. And so yeah, it's going to be a 3-pin connector, and it's the left 2. Now, one thing to remember too is we're doing sensorless homing for the X and the Y. Okay, hey Major Gamer Geek, how's it going, friend? So we need to add our jumpers on our motors, and it's right along this front edge here. And let me see if I can get you guys a little closer. Whoops. You guys levered out there. Come on, there we go. All right. So you see the 2 red jumpers there. So one thing that you have to be cognizant of is at first look you would go, oh, it's X, Y, Z, Z, and E's the one off to the bottom there. It is not. The SKR Pico from the top of the screen to the bottom on the right hand side goes extruder X, Y, Z1, then Z2. So these bottom 2 are the Z motor. So when we do the jumpers, we don't jumper the first motor, we jumper the second and third motors because we're going to be doing sensorless homing there. Okay? So I'm going to put you guys there precariously for a second and then clip you in. And then take a hydration break real fast. Put that over there. We're going to look at using these. We are going to use this. Okay. So this is our end stop. I'm just going to figure out what our length needs to be to get that plugged in. And then find it yet again now that I just took my fingers off of it. And the nice thing about an end stop, especially in clipper, is if we have them in the wrong direction, it's no big deal because we're just going to change the change the config. So it really doesn't matter which one of these is in which prong. I just need to make sure that I put JST connectors in it. I grab a 3-pin JST connector and I put them in the left too. Right? So that'll make life easier. Let me grab my strippers, my crimpers, and my JST connectors. Okay, and we said we're going to need a 3-pin for this one. Get a couple of pins off. Yeah, so Major Gamer Geek, we're starting to do some wiring. It's wiring time. Should probably be wearing my Crimpin' Ain't Easy shirt, but that's okay. We'll work without it today. The nice thing with these wires is they're stout enough that I don't need to worry about like the pin rolling off to one side as I crimp, because the cable itself is pretty stout as far as the insulation goes. Let's go slow, take your time. We'll do a nice crimp. I know I took the connector out. Okay. So I just need to go into the left 2 pins, and like I said, it doesn't matter which is which per se, but I'm going to put the, what is this, gray, green, whatever it is, in the signal pin. And the white I'll put in the ground. And then I'll come over and get plugged in. Just like so. Now our bed thermistor is this topmost pin over here. So we're going to need to have to come down here, around, through here, and then remember we're going to need that service loop to make it to our bed. So we need to really look and see which one of our wires that we have here will work to give us our service loop. Because we don't want to really yank on anything. Over there, we would go through, we'd come back up, probably somewhere over here. This should be doable. So once again, I'm going to pull these apart because apparently I was looking at extending these at one point. We'll change the termination on the one end, and I think I should be able to use the same wire or the same terminators in a different JST connector. But we'll see. If I have to swap it out, I will. I just was thinking, oh, will this work? Well, heck, this one might work, and I wouldn't have to worry about adjusting anything. But what I would want to do is put some type of heat shrink on here to identify that this would be the hot end thermistor, since it's using the same color pair as I'm using on an end stop. And what can I do there? Do I have it up here? I do. You ever have the opportunity? You don't need one that's this big. Apparently you need one that is charged though. But I have a P-Touch label maker here that I had when I was doing my plane build. And yes, I do mean a physical two-seat airplane. And I've got heat shrink labels. So that allows me to print out labels for wiring, and I can wire both ends and label both ends of a cable. So you see, this is going to be THB. Whoop. Of course, I've got to heat shrink. Need to feed. Okay. And so you can get nice little, nice little labels that'll say like PHB or end stop or what have you. Now this is a pretty small size, so probably won't be able to get this put on over connectors, but I'll see if I can get the connectors threaded through here. By that, I'm talking about on the end stop wiring. And you don't necessarily have to heat shrink this on. It's going to be a fairly tight fit on some of this wire, so it's just a matter of getting it near the connector and letting it go, or you can heat shrink it on. It's up to you. On this side, I'm going to have to solder on a JST connector, or potentially if I do that board, here, let me see. Will that board work with my 2-pin socket? But if it does, we could potentially just create our own little board. And it does fit, so I'll be able to take two of these sockets, or should be able to do two of these sockets, and then plug these in side by side, solder them up, and then I'll be able to plug in the thermistor well, maybe. These seem to be, well, they're not thicker. We may have to do one direction and one the other direction. Do like that to get them on there. Doable though. It is doable. I can solder these on there and basically make a through, or I'll just solder this to the ends on the other side and plug it directly in. Call it done that way. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. So I had some boards that I bought off of a person on Etsy. The problem is these are like the LDO boards that you get with your LDO kits, but you can get them in 2 or 3. So they're straight parallel. I'm sorry, 3 or 4. So these are 4. You would normally use these to chain lights or fans together in parallel. So you'll have one input in from your board, and then the other 3 would go out to either straight LEDs or fans. So I just don't want to use a 4 JST board for something when I just really need 2. It's kind of what I'm getting at. So I'll just use words. It's called the English language. I'll just solder on an end and then plug it directly in. It'll still provide an end connector on it. And probably what I'll do and pull this back off. I'm just going to cut this in half. I'll bring one half up to the top, and then I'll use the other half as the heat shrink at the other end. You don't know how many times I went through and I like made a full set of labels, and then I was sitting here building my cables and used like half of the labels. And then I'm sitting there looking at myself getting annoyed as I'm plugging them in going, why did I do that? So that'll be for our bed. The other side, like I said, I'll put this on there. Be able to use it on the other end. I'm going to bring this through our back panel. And once again, because this is a thermistor, it does not matter in which order the pins go. So it doesn't matter which order they get added into, or not added into, but they get soldered in which direction. So we've got that one there. We're going to need power for our bed, which, like I said, this should be long enough. We'll double check. We'll kind of route this around from the other side here. And before I cut the ends off, like I said, we're just going to route the wires through and make sure that we've got a good enough wire path. Because this will come through, come down here, and it's going to go into there. We'll be able to come up. And, oh yeah, that's going to be plenty long enough. Yep, those will be plenty long enough. And so those ones, set that over there for now. We'll probably need it later on. Is going to be our heated bed. So we've got power in, heated bed, thermistor. So it's going to be the middle set will be the heated bed. So let's go ahead and get those installed. Okay, and again, these look like they're just a smidge long. So what I do is I trim the, kind of hard to say how I trim these, but when you crimp them, you get kind of like some striations on here. And all I'm doing is cutting that last little striation piece off. And what that allows me to do is put the pin in all the way to the plastic insulated ferrule jacket. And that way you don't have a chance of an arc between these, because that's in essence what we're using ferrules for, is to prevent an arc across the wires itself. So we do want to make it so that there's no chance for that, or minimize it as much as possible. Hey sis, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. LDO sells the 2-port JST extensions on Amazon. That is very good to know. So maybe I will look at that, because I'd much rather crimp than solder right now, just because that's the mood I'm in. How you doing, sis? Hope you're doing well. We're just kind of trying to do some preliminary wiring here. In fact, to the point where I'm going to, let's see, we're going to need the thermistor for the hot end, or for the hot end, for the other one. So we will use this one for our hot end. And what we'll do is we'll take the 2-wire, we'll bring it down, over, up, and then once again, somewhere up here is going to be that board mounted that we'll be able to plug things into. So we'll get this going for the TH0, so thermistor 0. Back that up. Where's my backspace? There we go. TH0. I don't want to feed. Can I just not feed? Oh, that's awesome. That'll work. Ah. So how you doing, sis? So we are working on our Rook 2020. So in the past, we've got our IEC socket, so our IEC 13, our power inlet socket installed, and the AC is wired to our power supply. We'll need to bring power up to the board eventually. And we just installed our bed. So now what we're working on is our wiring that'll go to our bed, to include the thermistor and the heat bed wiring. So that'll come up here. And I'm going to run the thermistor as well or at least get the thermistor laid in there. And we'll do just a little bit of preliminary cable management back here. I do have another board. So I've got a board for the tool head and a board that'll mount right here at the back, kind of like this. So it'll be a 14-pin connector between the tool head board and this top board. And then I'll have individual runs that'll come from this top board down here to the Raspberry Pi Pico. So I'm just trying to go through and work on some of the wiring that I can right now. And I know we pulled zip ties last week. What did I do with the zip ties from last week? Because I have them here. Guys, let me lose my zip ties. Zip ties. Where'd the zip ties go? I may have used most of them, actually. We'll grab a few more. Either that or I'm looking for the bag and I don't have the bag over here. So we will put those over here somewhere. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is just loosely run the zip tie through here. That way I can still add more cables in here as we go, because I'm going to need the other thermistor wire, and then our 3 fans are up here at the top, so I'll have to figure out if we just bring them here and go or bring them here and go. Well, one of them's going to come to this fan, the other two will be the part cooling and the hot end fan that will jump up to this board. So it may be a very short jumper run between there. And of course, we'll have our other hot end wires and maybe a few other things that'll come in here. One of the things that I'll have to think of in the next or between now and the next stream is the by the way, Westry, I'm sorry. I am glad that you are doing so much better. Westry's been under the weather, dealing with that C word that we don't like to talk about because, well, it just sucks. So, wish her well. Let her know that we care about her, because we do. And these are a different style of pens, so I'll have to cut these off and re-terminate them, which would be no big deal. But yeah, I hope you're feeling better. We're working on a Rook. We're doing a board setup that was similar to the first Rook that I did that I had at Murph. So that makes life a little bit easier for us, right? So we're just going to keep on working. He's over there. Um, I'll put this away for now. And you said LDO. If you could, if Thunder Keys, if you could provide a link, you should be able to put a link in there in the chat. If you could throw a link, that would be fabulous. All right, we're going to need a couple more pens. Yeah, so I tried looking before for those JST boards, and I could never find the ones for like the 3 pin, but I'm assuming that if they've got 2 pins on there, that I might be able to find the 3 pins as well. There's one. Second one done. Good. Have you been able to go back to work, Westery, or at least get on some calls and stuff? Two down. And once again, with this being a thermistor wire, it's not going to matter in what order it's inserted. There is no polarity on a thermistor wire, so just get your wires in there and you'll be good. There we go. We'll do the other one as well. Okay, I see the ad going. Okay, so that one will come up here this way, and like I said, it'll terminate into that top board. Once again, I'm just putting these in there loose for now, just to provide some corralling of the wires. I can always cut these out and redo them later if I decide I'm going to go through and do the sleeving or anything on these to make it look even nicer. You've got that option, and these are big enough to accommodate for that. Sorry about that. Okay, we're going to need motor wires. I need to see what I've got as far as motor wires go. I think I have some. I just need to know which ones I have and which sides I cut off on them. 4-pin side. I think most of these will be the 4-pin side that's being cut off and shortened. Oh, there's a 6-pin side, 6-pin side, so we can use those 2 wires there. What else we got? We got 4-pin to 4-pin to 4-pin. That's interesting. 4-pin to 4-pin extension. Must come off of the D-bot. Wires, some other motor wires. I'm sorry, I know I'm talking to myself, which is probably a strange thing, and I don't think we're supposed to do that, but oh, well, I do. I got 2 wires there that I can use that are got the 6-pin connector sides to them, which makes life a little bit easier. I know I've got a couple of more over there somewhere. I just have to go grab them. But for now, we'll work with these and we'll do the AB motors and get those routed down and around. Hey, Pete, how's it going? And I always seem to forget which one goes where as far as which side's A and which side's B. So we'll leave them a tad bit long until we figure that out. I mean, they're right side by side, so I guess I don't need to necessarily leave them that long. Come in, we'll go through here. I'm going into this one, so we only need to go through 2. So, roughly saying we'll need to cut these about right here. Do the same thing on the other side, making sure we're doing about the same length. So if we need to wire them up and switch them over, we should have plenty of cable length still. Got the other end to know in which order that we would cable these up. And I'll probably say 90% of the time I will cable it up backwards, but that's all good. That's all good. Work on getting ends on these. Do y'all think you're going to get a stripping stream tonight? This is a heck of a build. We've had lubing of rails and balls, and now we're doing a stripping stream. And yes, it's an adult play on words, I know. There you go, Major Gamer Geek. So when you're stripping the wires on these, remember, you don't need to strip a whole heck of a lot. You just need a little bit. If you get too much, then when you go to insert into the socket, you'll actually push the pin out, and you just have problems. So. And at some point, I'll have to get the other connectors for the 6 pins so I can make both sides down the road. But I'm just going to say I'm lazy and don't want to do those because they're smaller, number one. And it was one of those things that I'd have to sit down at the bench and kind of just push a bunch of them out, you know? If I'm going to sit there and mess those little ones, I might as well just sit down at the bench and bust them out in a like production line fashion. Okay. Hey, Tactile, how are you doing, friend? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. This somewhere where I don't, still going to trip over it, but hopefully I don't hurt myself when I do. Is there anything else I wanted to print? Nope, doing good. Alrighty. We're back to crimping now. And I'm crimping these on the 1.3 setting. And you put in just the portion of the wire that you have, that you stripped and is exposed. And you crimp down, give it a little tug. And that way your longer feet will be what's going over the insulating jacket. You normally go up one to the next size on your crimpers for the insulating jacket. Just go slow and take your time and Tactile, Major Gamer Geek. How are you guys doing tonight? What you guys up to? Well, that just popped right off. That's not good. Two down. And if you've been doing this long enough, you know that every stepper motor, the pinout's different, or could be different, even between the same manufacturer, as far as the wiring goes. So you should be able to look at a previous motor wire to figure out the color of your wires. But it's also always good to verify. So how would you verify? Well, I've got 4 wires here that are crimped. I haven't put them into their connector yet. And what I'm going to do is just hold 2 of them together. So I'm just going to pick 2. Take the first 2 that are side by side, the black and green, and I'm going to hold those 2 connectors together and try and turn my motor. If I don't feel resistance, then that's not a pair. So then I'll take the black and the red, hold them together. Now I'm feeling some resistance. I hear a little bit of grinding. That tells me that the black and the red is a phase pair. Which means if I do the other 2, I should also feel a little bit of grinding on my motor. And it's really hard to tell. But that's one of the easiest ways that you can do that. So once again, we'll take the black and green, and I'm just going to put them side by side and hold them together in my fingers, right? And I can move this motor no problem. Real easy. So if I take the black and the red, do the same thing. Put these side by side and hold them together. It's not going to move as easy. And I'm going to hear a little bit of grinding. That's not bad, but it's just telling you that these 2 are a phased pair and these 2 are a phased pair. So that tells me when I put them in that I want to go like black, red, green, blue, right? So I'm twisting the 2 middle pairs when I put them in the connector. It really doesn't matter. You say it doesn't matter, but it may. We may have to repin these or, like I said, swap connectors down the road when we put these in. There probably is a color pattern. In fact, let me look. So this has black, green, red, blue, but we know the black and the red are our pairs. So they need to be side by side. So yeah, black, red, green, blue will give us our connector. It's just whether we have them, I'll say, in the right order to get the right direction that we want. I'm going to go ahead and say that that's the X, this is the Y. And insert these in that order. If they wind up not being correct, then like I said, we can swap them out or do something afterwards once we get our config done and we go about checking our direction. Well, you can use a multimeter, but it's so much easier just to hold the wires together than doing the multimeter. Because I didn't have to get a tool out. All I had to do was hold the pairs together and check to see if I feel the difference. Now, what you can do with the multimeter that you can't do by hand is check and make sure that the resistance that you're getting is the same, which tells you that your motor is in good health. Because if they're drastically off, either it's an issue with the motor itself or a connection's not good. So that's what you can check with the multimeter. Hey, Maker Viking, how's it going, my friend? Welcome on in. Oh, you had surgery to remove a tumor. That's not good. Hopefully everything went well. I'm assuming that I'm hoping that you're home and it was a what outpatient procedure. Yeah, the aviation lacing is very nice. I was going to have to do that for my aircraft wiring, and it's a little bit of time consuming. I'll say that there's a little bit of a time sink to it. But when it's done, it looks very, very nice. But if I remember right, you're in the aviation industry, right? So you probably very used to it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's where I go with some cable sleeving. If you've got the that plastic trough stuff, works wonders. Because you don't have to, you can hide a lot of the rat's nest easier. Doesn't necessarily make maintenance any easier, but covers the rat's nest up and makes it look nice. The Maker Viking, we're working on the Rook 2020 build, and we're starting to do some of the preliminary wiring. We're going to wire in our heated bed, or at least to a point, because somebody told me there's a uh, uh, JST board on Amazon that I may go ahead and order, especially if I can get it here quickly. Um, we also will have a stop or may have to do something different on Saturday at the start of the stream and wait for the mail to come in, because I did order a tool head board and a backplane board that'll mount back here from KB3D. And that should be in, from what it's saying, Saturday. So as long as the post office doesn't push that, then hopefully Saturday we'll get that in. We'll be able to do we'll work on our tool head wiring. Okay, and our wire was black, red, green, and then blue. Hey, KB3D, thank you for the resubscribe. I was sitting there going like, what is that noise that I'm hearing? And then it dawned on me, I've got volume very low on this screen, so I heard the resubscribe alert. So we are working on some wiring right now, and I'll say just kind of lazily taking our time working on the wiring. We've got our, let's see, we mounted our heated bed. So we've got our hot bed or our heated bed thermistor wire that comes around. We've got our Z end stop that comes around. And you'll notice they're the same wire, but we've got a thermistor shrink wrap sitting on here. Then we've got another wire that comes around here for our thermistor for our tool head. We've got the bed wire connected in here, and we're just very loose on our wire management right now. Just kind of trying to control the rat's nest a little bit. I may come back through here and put sleeving on it afterwards. The other thing that we've got to do is go ahead and do our bed wiring. But remember, we wanted to put some twist tie connectors here, or some twist in connectors, or twist in zip tie connectors. And so these you would just line up and twist them in kind of like a T-nut. And when you twist them over, then you can wrap a zip tie around it to hold your wires. And for cable management, I wanted to try and put one or two on the side here to start the wire for the bed. We did go ahead and put the back plate on now, so let's see if I can actually get in there and twist those in place now that we put that in there. Unfortunately, where you go to twist them in is pretty much where they're going to stay. Really hope that I don't need to take that back cover back off in order to put these on there. Okay, that one's getting... So KB3D is not necessarily sponsoring the build. KB3D, I'm affiliate with KB3D, and I'm getting a lot of parts from them because he's a great guy and he treats me well. I am getting the Interwire enclosures from him. And, all right, dang it. I may have to take at least the one side. I'm going to have to undo these three here to see if I can at least bend it a little bit and get my hand in there. Okay, that should work well. At least I thought it was going to. Let's see. We've been asked about an Interwire kit a few times. Yeah, I've actually mentioned it when I was doing my Interwire builds. They've got a they've got the enclosure kit and they've got some parts. You know, it's more of here's parts that will work on an interwire build, but they don't have an actual like all-in-one kit yet. So I think if people continue to ask about it, as he's saying, that it might be something that they'd be willing to support for the community. Just in there. You can do it. I know you can do it. I have faith in you. Or you just snap off. That works too, I guess. All right. Might have to completely take the back panel off, which will might make me angry, but we'll figure that out. I'll figure that out off stream so I don't get mad and angry and throw things. I'm not going to get mad and angry and throw things. But I will wind up taking the back plate off so that I can put those things in there. Good thing I hadn't, like, I don't know, put a lot of time and energy into the back plate yet. Well, add brake. You got a 500C hot end? Well, that'll do it for you. Hey, Aceticraft, how are you doing? Didn't see you pop in there. I may have to take a quick break and just scroll through chat a little bit to see who all is popping in. I know Pez and Zombie were on here earlier, but I haven't seen them chatting a bit. Okay, and so for the most part, I'm going to unplug these from the motors, and the only thing that's actually plugged in would be the end stop. I should be able to kind of set this up and out of the way so I can try and get one or more of these turned in here. And once again, these are just some 2020 twist-in zip tie mounts. This one probably broke because I was not able to line it up right when I was trying to get it in there. And I may have a hard time getting it out. I'm going to have to try and break it off to get it out. Yeah. I just need to be careful I don't do like somebody, and I can't remember who it was, but I was watching somebody do an install and they were putting in zip ties and actually cut a wire. Had to break out the soldering iron and go fix the cut wire. All right, so you got that one out. Now let's see about putting one in without causing an issue. There we go. And once again, what that is going to allow me to do is bring my wires up and just kind of do a little bit of a service loop there so they can come in and mount and stay out of the way, basically. So let me go ahead and get a couple of zip ties in there. Because the only thing that's going to be going through here is the heat bed and the thermistor wires for the heat bed. All right, now we should be able to lay this back down on there. Everything lined back up. And put some screws back in. And I apologize, I wasn't paying attention to chat there for a minute, so let me take a look. Not doing, whoops, see what we got here. Talk to you later, Luke. If you can send the parts soon and Liz is streaming, I will have some homemade peach cobbler for you. Oh, nice. Not doing too great, but hanging in there. Somebody had broken into our house, stole my wife's laptop and all of, ooh. Oh, dude. That sucks, my friend. Yeah, will insurance help any at all? So you keep all your printers in the front room. They came into the front door, so they were there. So it was boom right there in front, and it was an easy smash and grab. Dude. Oh man. Ones we have in our town, they won't even buy items like that. The reasoning is it doesn't sell, but there are also the type of shops that don't really care what you're selling and how you got it. Yeah. Dude, I am so sorry to hear that. Okay. Oh, you're gonna go do a kit box. Nice, my friend. Nice. Enjoy that. Yeah, and have some cobbler for me. Yeah, I will. I'll definitely get those in the mail real soon. Um, I will get those in the mail real soon to you. Um, Yeah, you just want to grab and run. Yeah. Um, yeah. So Acetocraft, what printers did you have when this went down? Dude, that just all kinds of sucks. Like I've got printers in the front room, but I mean they'd have to be willing to put in some work because they're my big ones. They're not the light ones. And then I mean, you can tell everything that's up here. Ender 3, Odin 5, and any cubic photon mono 4K resin. Okay. So the Ender 3, Odin 5, pretty much kind of the same thing, right? 235 ish bed flingers, if I remember right. Okay. Vectorized dual Z. Okay. I'm thinking that this has got a little bit of a twist to this plate. So let me back some things off a bit so I can try and get it straightened out. Yeah, I'm really liking this orange too. This is Polymaker Orange ABS. Um, and yes, this is I'll say a KB3 or yeah KB3D color themed printer, basically. I don't know why this one's just not lining up too well. There we go. I think I got it. But Chris, if you're still there, um, any uh, any words or progress that you wanted to share on the on your nice brain fart, the name of your tool changer? Black box? It's gonna drive me nuts. I've got a one of those wires is like not, well, it's got its own twist somewhere, it seems like. We'll see if it fixes itself. Maybe make it a tad bit long just so I'd have the ability to do some maneuvering. Like I said, once I get everything in and we just get movement, we're happy. Then we can go in and um, pretty everything up. We'll put some cable sleeving on it, maybe stuff like that. Um, okay, now we're going to flip this up on its side, and we've got our. This is going to be the hot end coming in. It says nozzle heat. It's not. This is the heated bed. This is actually the extension cable off the Ender 5 Plus, by the way. So what this is going to allow me to do is have a service loop. So I'll be able to bring this over and mount it, but when it comes down, well, it's not clearing it because of the zip tie. But it'll come down all the way, and I just need to make sure I've got basically a service loop built in there. So I don't want to make this like, oh, let me pop it right there. I do want to have a little bit of excess underneath it. Looks about good right there. And we're going to take, because this is going in a Wago, we're going to need this backed off 11 millimeters. Well, backed off, stripped 11 millimeters back. Or I'll say, quote unquote, thereabouts, because we're going to use we'll put ferrules on it. Um, are you asking for just the printed parts for a kit, a Cedacraft? Um, um, your your best bet for economical kit would be a Cyborg kit, and I believe they come with the printed parts as part of the kit price. You'd want to look at the different options that they have available. I believe they're on uh, AliExpress, so you can look there to get those. But yeah, that would be where I would go. if you're looking to try and get inexpensive. The only other thing would be was it the Trudon? And Ian Douglas can talk to you about the Trudon. He really likes his. I think he actually just bought a second one. So that is an option as well. Okay, so the heat bed heater wires are installed. I'll go ahead and pull those tight and trim those off. Make sure I don't have any issues. Everything still moves nicely. I've got a good service loop there. Still probably want some type of strain relief. This wire is going to be the thermistor wire that'll get plugged in. I'm going to look at getting one of the two JST boards, and if I can, then I'll mount that on one side over here so I can plug the two JST connectors in. So I'm not going to trim this or do anything with this one just yet. What else can we do? Before we before we do anything else, kind of the sort of comment, I do want to check and make sure that my 24 volt power supply is giving out 24 volt. It's always a good thing to check, especially on the ones that you can adjust the voltage on. Let me grab my meter. Yeah, like I said, the Trudon, I believe there is basically like a 2-dot series, and it does have all of the printed parts because it comes mostly assembled. I don't have any experience with it. Ian Douglas does. Ian really likes the ones that he got. He went and got a second one. So, yeah. Okay, and so what we're going to do, use some stuff up here. And I want to, yeah. So I need a plug and one that will reach. So we're going to plug this in and apply some power. And the only thing, we don't have anything plugged into this. All we're going to do is apply main power here. Make sure a light comes on. And then we're going to check our voltage. Which one? And negative one side, positive on the other. And I'm reading 23.9. So what I can do is adjust my voltage pot right there one way or the other and try and get it to 24 even, or even possibly just a tad bit more. Hey, Dutch dude, thank you for the resub. Appreciate that. All I'm doing is trying to adjust this. It was like 23.9. I'm just going to bring it up to 24 or attempt to. 24 even. If you want to play overclock, I mean, technically you can. Just make sure that you're not going to, like, don't make it like 28 or anything like that. Um, Zach, Zach M. Rutledge hype, Zach M. Rutledge. Did Zach come over here or? Hey, Dutch dude, thanks for the resub. I appreciate it, my friend. So, how's it going, Britt? I have not been chugging on my coffee, so I still have a ton of coffee over here. I'm going to be wired all night. So Dutch, I am going to Earth. I am bringing stuff. The plan right now is a 2.4, as in Kyber Dragon, the Trident. I need to talk with Chris and see if he wants the 0G again, and I'll bring the 0G. I'm honestly thinking about bringing all three of my Rooks. So once again, we'll have the you took a shower and fell asleep. I won't blame you there. I won't blame you at all. Yeah, I probably would have done the same. What am I doing? Or what was I going to do? Oh, I was going to run power to the. We're going to run power up here to the board. Yeah, so I'm going to bring a few things. Definitely. That's not going to be long enough, so I'm going to have to make me a power cable, which is not that big of a deal. Yeah, I am going to bring a few things. Yeah, just the guy Luke has to talk to. Exactly. Yeah, as I'm waiting for another shipment from him to come in. Yeah, so I've got the 2.4, the Trident, the I'm going to try and get all three of the Rooks going. The 0G Mercury 1, the beta frame build back here. What else? Two Mechanism racers, possibly two drag racers, at least one drag racer, if not two. So, yeah, the Tri-Rook though. So, in fact, I'm sitting here going, wow, I just put together a 2020 Rook that's a black frame and orange. So, you might have a Rook and a 0G there for you, Chris. Because you might have a lot of extra space there, I know. What am I thinking of? Oh, I need power wire. And for this, it's, it's a 24 volt system. We don't need like 16 or 14 gauge wire or anything like that. 20 gauge wire should work just, or excuse me, 18 gauge wire should work just fine. Um, Looks like we're going to be doing blue and white because of the amount of red and black, and I'm not going to order red and black just to do a short wire run. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. And the other thing I want to do is figure out, because I can just route this straight down underneath and around. I don't think I really need to bring it over here, bring it down, though I could. Bring it over, bring it down, bring it right down by the wire for the Z motor, loop it around and come over. So, ad break in progress. Okay, yep, definitely works. Yeah, because I'm going to have a table, but I believe I'm going to be up on the upper mezzanine because I'm not selling anything. So, which will probably make it a lot harder to run around like I did at Murph. All right, that's about good. White is, so we're going to say white hot, blue cold. So white will be our positive, and the blue will be our negative. And once again, this is going to be where it's always good to have your printed schematic so you know which one's positive and which one's negative. On our heated bed, well, starting from the left and going towards the right, for our inbound, it's positive ground, and then it's on the heated bed, it would be your voltage and your signal, and on your hot end, it's going to be voltage and signal. When I say signal, I mean that's the pin that's signaling to turn on and off. So once again, we're going to be using a ferrule on this. Ferrule on the ferrules that I just put away. As I do wonderful things like that to myself all the time. Oh. Okay, Westery, get some rest here. But give Mia some treats for me because I haven't seen you online in a while. I'm going to be driving in. Me and Evil Diesel are going to drive up. I'm going to bring the truck, and I may be looking at, just getting another foot locker that I can put the Rooks in to keep them dry and set them in the back seat, or not the back seat, but the bed of the truck. I have a tonneau cover, but like when we drove up to Murph, it had rained the night before, and hell, it rained most of the way up there, and so I will get water in under the tonneau cover. It's not waterproof or watertight. So it's just a matter of making sure that I've got things covered and in a watertight container. And the Rooks are small enough that I should be able to put them in there without any problem. We'll just have to figure out, what order to pack things in. But me and Jonathan, being previous military, we figured out, how to package things. Night, night, sis. I don't know what I knocked over, but I hope to God it was closed. And it was, so whew. Flying in from the West Coast. Um, yeah, yeah. So I'll try and, so like I said, we'll have death racers, and for Murph we had the two death racers and some miscellaneous stuff in one of the Foot Locker totes that we had. The other one had several, a bunch of other stuff that wound up coming back full with filament. And we had three big printers in um, the rear of the cab. Or no, we had two big printers, a Rook, and a um, so we had the 2.4, the 0G, and between them we had uh, the Golden Dragon Rook and Westry's um, Prusa. So this year I believe I'm going to have a 2.4, a 1.8, and in the middle will be the whatchamacallit, uh, 0G. And then I'll fit the Rooks in a case that'll sit in the truck bed under the tonneau cover. And then, yeah, and then we'll drag everything else in a couple of cases in the tonneau cover, or in the bed of the truck as well. Okay, so those two are added in there. Come around like that. Let's go ahead and add a zip tie there. That'll come down. I can get one of these in there. Then I'll be able to zip tie there. And as far as the rest of our planning goes, we're going to be, me and Evil Diesel are going to be meeting up and having, uh, that didn't work. As long as another one's going to break. We're going to be meeting up and having breakfast over the weekend, and we'll be laying out more of our plans and stuff to figure out what we're going to do. Darn it. I know the Thursday before the show, I'm going to be off, so um, I can definitely, you know, I'll spend all day trying to pack everything and get as much as I can pre-packed. All right, heck with it for now. We'll just get us some wire length and go with it. Everything pre-packed, and then we'll take out Friday morning at dark 30 and start driving up there. I believe if I saw some, I don't think they've given the exact time yet, but we will be able to get in there on Friday and start setting things up. And then, you know, I think they're going to do some type of reception Friday night, if I remember right. Oh, and then I believe Saturday somebody's doing something as well. Reality is Creality sing on Saturday night or Sunday? I think it's Sunday after the show, isn't it? You'd send something for me as a. Oh yeah, no problem. Send me whatever you want. Send me whatever you want, and I can deliver that. That's no big deal. Dutch, not a problem. Okay, we'll put these away for now. Um, may have to do at least one more thing of ferrules. Either that or I'll hack and slash a different wire thing. Um, but for now, those two things are done. I need to get the other crimpers out for that one. Okay, I see the craft. Do me a favor, my friend, and ping me a DM on the Discord. I want to reach out to you about something. Thank you. And same thing for you, Dutch. Just ping me on Discord and let me know the deets on what to expect and when to expect it and who to send it to or who to get it to. Please, sir. All right, let's put these two back up. Okay, so once again, white was hot, so that will be our positive. I need the other screwdriver. And we're just going to plug that in here. So positive is at the bottom. Negative is at the top. So our blue is our cold side, or our return side. This is our hot side. Our positive side. Like I said, we'll do something to get these a little bit nicer in here. Maybe put a zip tie right there around those wires, and that'll help keep that stuff there nice and neat. And I'll see about trying to find some skirts or something for this. I know who cut that wire. I was watching what's his name? 3D Musketeer. He was doing his unboxing of the Flying Bear, and he went to cut a zip tie and actually, well, cut a wire and had to go in and repair a wire. Okay, so at this point, we've got some basic wiring done. We've got our tool head mounted, but not necessarily wired up yet. We're going to apply a little bit of tension on these rear motors to tension the belts up a little bit. And this is, I'm not going to ugga-dugga this down. I'm just going to apply a little bit of tension because it's literally moving the motors and the by hand. There's no tensioning mechanism, though I want to say there is a mod out there for a simple tensioning mechanism. But I just wanted to get the belts just a little bit. You know, there you go. Just a little bit of tension on them. Not a whole heck of a lot. Now, you've seen me in the past where I've used thermistors. Where do I have those? So even though I don't have all of my motors in play yet, we can use a thermistor and some basic, I thought I had a motor cable over here. I know I do somewhere. Some thermistors to get our system up and running, because Clipper by default will shut down if you do not have a thermistor defined or a thermistor reading. So a couple of things I'm going to do is I'm going to just wire in a Z motor. I should have went ahead and done this one as well, but I didn't. So I will cut this to length, and I guess we're going to cut to length and muck with it now because it's not pinned right to begin with. But what I'm going to try and do is just do a quick power on test and make sure that things are seemingly working. Right? Just a basic power on test. Should be good about there on these. And when we do this power on test afterwards, what we'll be able to do is copy and paste, basically. So we're going to take, what I'll do is I'll take Golden Dragon here, power it on, and just pull down all of its configs. Why? Because we're using the same controller board, which happens to be the RPi or the SKR Pico. And what that will enable us to do is get up and running a little bit faster, right? So that will be one part of the plan. And I'm going to go just a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and start figuring out who we want to raid out to, though, folks. Because all I'm going to do is get this cable wired up, and we'll be done for the stream tonight. And Saturday, we will work on doing our configuration. Okay, so right now, my RADSA 0 should already be up and running. Okay, so if I plug it in and power this up, I should get a web interface from Mainsail already, because it was already previously configured. It'll just be, doing the install for the SKR Pico, and then everything else after that. So, and we'll start doing that on Saturday. And also, hopefully Saturday, we'll get our toolhead board in. Now, the nice thing with our toolhead board is everything is still plugging into this board. So we can go ahead and get that configured. And we'll just work on, doing the wiring, the physical wiring on, well, hopefully Saturday, depending on when the mail comes in, because that stuff will be in the mail. Little too much stripped off of that one. Let's try that again. So this is a Radsa Zero board. So this is a Raspberry Pi alternative. Um, so you've seen me. We're going to have a smattering of different configurations here with our Rooks. So my first Rook, the Rook Mark One Gold Dragon, which is sitting over here on the bench. Darn it! Not make it off the table. No, it didn't. Good. So this one is a SKR Pico. This is why I'll be able to kind of lift the config off of it. And it is running a Raspberry Pi Zero as this setup. The Fabrico Rook that's sitting down on the ground next to me here is running an SKR Mini E3V3 board and a Banana Pi M20. And then this one's going to run the Radsa, which the Radsa claims to have the performance of a Raspberry Pi 3B and the footprint of a Pi Zero. So we're going to see about that. Okay, so we're going to go in this way. We're going to need black, red, green, blue. And then up there. Okay. And so those are there. And as I was mentioning before, what we can do if we don't have our thermistors terminated yet, is you can just take these are just simple thermistors or the glass bulb tip thermistors. I don't even take them out of the bundle. I'll just take any two of them and plug them in as a thermistor, or if I just need one, I'll just plug one in, and that will let me actually start playing with the Clipper firmware without having everything all done and wired up. So when we start Saturday, we will start working on the SKR Pico board, and we'll be able to drop the firmware on the Pico board and then also start configuring our mainsail config, even if I don't have the tool head board and stuff to do the rest of the wiring here. Because we'll just throw in one or more of the thermistors if we need to. But what we're going to do now, since we do have come on, be nice. Since we do have the board attached, we're going to plug this in. We're going to flip the switch. So real fast, get ready to clip in case there's any bright puff of smoke. In fact, I'll turn this around this way so you guys can see the back of it. Flip the switch. 3, 2, 1. Yay, no smoke. And I don't think there's any other jumper I need but the one. So we do have light here. So that's good that we're getting a light on our Radsa, which means we are getting the power and stuff through here. Ooh, I might need to change something on there because it's probably um, probably not configured to talk UART to anything yet. But I should be able to pull up our web interface and see it, which is really what I'm going to be looking for. I have no idea what IP address I gave it. So let me do that over here. Then I want to log into my router and show you guys everything I have connected. And by the way, Major Gamer Geek, Dutch Dude, and everybody, Scott from Edge of 3D had said that he was going to send me one of these kits before he went to China. It didn't happen. So now that he's back, I'm trying to give him a little bit of time to get his feet back underneath him because he got delayed with the typhoon and everything. But I'm hoping to get one of these in the mail to me, or potentially just say, hey, just bring it with you and I'll get it from you at Earth. And that way we don't have to worry about shipping anything. That's probably going to be the easier way to do it if he wants to wait. And I'll pick one of these up. I already have another Ender 3 that we can use to put that one together. Sorry. Hmm. Not sure if I'm seeing it. I think that's the one. So let me take a gander. Nope. Well, I thought I had it all configured. Maybe I didn't. So maybe we'll have to finish that off. I'll uh I'll get looking at this and try and figure out. I'll have to plug in the monitor and keyboard and all that stuff to try and figure out uh, what's going on with the Radsa. It should have plenty of juice coming to it from the Pico board. I just need to figure out. Like I said, I'll plug in a HDMI monitor so I can see the output and see what it's actually trying to talk about. So, okay, folks, that's all I've got for tonight. All right, cool, Dutch dude. I missed something. Yeah, good thing there's a start G code generator now. Then, yep. You're not sure if who still works for the company. Oh, I think I got you. I think I understand. All right, man. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get a raid started. Let's see who I have pop up. Jane, Kitty Bit Games, Astro Canuck, Pez Liz is up and running. Who else is out there in Twitch land right now? The Pez Liz, Way of Wood. A lot of people playing games. Prophet DNA just came on. Speedocraft's on there playing Star Citizen and hanging out. Creatix Brit looks like she is just starting up. She hasn't actually started in yet. Let's see, folks. Do you guys want to jump into... Prophet DNA is still in their starting stream. What's everybody feel like tonight? Anything? Okay, Pete, you too. Like everybody's jumping offline. We need to. Okay, whoop. Is Prophet getting ready to start? Okay, it looks like Prophet just came up. Creatix Brit is getting ready to start as well. And what's Pez Liz up to? You know what? Let's jump over to Pez Liz. Yep, Stephen Poole, we'll do that. We'll jump over to Pez Liz. So thanks everybody for being here and hanging out with me tonight. Like I said, on Saturday, we'll start working on configuration and potentially getting some of this other wire mess done up. Oh, Liz is signing off. No signing off, Liz. Why would she be... Okay. Oh, yeah, there you go. You said, you told her I was going to raid in, so she said, let's keep going. So let's go ahead. We're going to raid on over to her. Yep. And there we go. We got the raid started for Pez Liz. Come on over, hang out with Pez Liz, chat with her, give her some heck. It's all good. She's a good Canadian girl. All right, gang. We'll see you on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Have a good one. Take it easy. All right. Makes it easier. Thank you for all for being here. We'll see you Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Have a good one, and we'll see y'all later. Bye now.